Hello, my name is Laura from Laura Mixed Media. Today I am sharing a collaboration that I did with Marci from It Up Marci. Which we are both making our own collage papers and sharing that with you guys. We're each using it, doing it with book pages, and we both used coffee. She used coffee with gesso, and I decided to use my coffee with some Payne's gray acrylic ink. So the first thing I did was take this piece of cardboard that had a bunch of circles cut out of it, and I just put some water down and then put the instant coffee over the top to let it kind of do its thing. And then I took my ink and spread it around on my paper, sprayed it with water, and then added some coffee grounds into that. This next one, I am taking my ink and a paintbrush and spreading it around. And then I am taking some white fluid acrylic and a little paint cap and just making some circles into the acrylic, but it's super wet, so some of the paint is kind of running, which I think is really cool. And you can see like little splatters and stuff from where the paint is kind of, or where the cap is kind of sticking to the ink. I should have probably mentioned at the beginning that all of these pages are pre-gessoed with clear gesso. I wanted to let the color of the paper and the writing in the paper show through, so I didn't want to use white gesso for that. But I also wanted it to, have a seal so everything didn't just soak into the paper. So now I'm going to take this little cardboard piece and flip it over and make a little impression on the paper underneath. It also made an impression on the one I used to smush it. So I'm going to take my Payne's gray acrylic ink and a stamp that I carved and use that to make marks over this page. So now I'm taking the ink that was left over from stamping and just spreading it around onto my page and using water to kind of make it go a little bit further. And then I'm going to take my white fluid acrylic that I have and this wire brush that I found at the hardware store, and I'm just going to make some lines through the wet ink. Again, I like how the white paint bleeds into the water and the ink, and just the lines that brush made were kind of cool. And then I really liked how the impression of the stencil came out, and I liked that I have kind of like a reverse of the other one that I stenciled, so I just kind of left that one as it is. And now I'm taking my ink, I made some scribbles, and then I sprayed some water, but I sprayed it in dots instead of just spraying it all over. And then I dropped the coffee in the dots to let it spread around. So some of the dots have ink, some of them don't, some of them just have coffee. So I thought that was kind of cool. Now I'm spraying the whole paper and I'm dropping in my coffee. So then I'm going to take that wire brush again with the white acrylic and just kind of drop it into the paint and see what happens. I'm trying to make dots. I think I got the paper a little too wet, so then all of that white kind of just bloomed out a little bit, but I think we fix that later. So now I dropped some leftover ink and coffee from another page, and I used some water to spread it around, and I am adding more ink and then taking my brush and just making some thick lines with the ink and not like spreading it around totally. And then I added a little bit more coffee because I wanted that more yellowy look. And then I'm taking the leftover fluid acrylic and spreading that all over my, I think this is my last page, and I'm going to then add the coffee on top of that and spray it with water. So then I dropped just the tiniest little dots of ink into the water and added a little bit more coffee and then a little bit more water and kind of spread that ink around. I wanted everything to kind of mix with the white and make it a little more gray. Now I'm adding more ink and just mixing it around, trying to get the look that I wanted. So this was the one where I made the dots with the wire brush. So it's all dry now, and I'm going back and trying to do the same thing. So that way the white isn't just like completely washing out and everything like it was. Although it did look kind of cool, it wasn't exactly what I wanted. And I really like how that looks and how organic it kind of looks, because if I just went into did dots, it would not look like that. And speaking of, I'm taking a tiny little paintbrush and my fluid acrylic and making tick marks over one of the pages. I think this was like the second one that I did with the it was just the ink and the coffee, and I will spare you all of the long tick marks, but I essentially just cover the whole page with them. And I just think that's really cool, especially when using in collages. It adds a really cool element. Alright, that is pretty much it. I hope you really enjoyed this collage paper making process, and I hope you'll check out Marci's video, and then these collage papers will be available on my website as a free download. So make sure you check that out too. Thank you for watching.